Hello, everyone. My name is Clark Robinson. I am the host of Only a Missionary, and today I have a very special guest.
Hi, everybody. I'm Junson Francois from Fort Myers, Florida. I'm just happy to be here today.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for you to be here, man, because you're a great guy. And so let's get into it. So, why don't you tell us about your family growing up, and how did you guys find the church?
No, for sure. Um, my family comes from Haiti, a small town, and my mom comes from Cap-Haïtien, which is not too far from the capital. And we have, where my dad's from is Lagunave. It's on the islands, on the other side of the islands. So
Oh,
two different
wow.
parts of the island. And so my parents moved from Haiti to come to the United States to have a better opportunity for themselves. And so my mom, she's wonderful to me. She's probably the best mom that I've ever had in my life. She motivates me to do a lot of things in life, and I wouldn't know where I'd be without her. And then my dad, obviously, he's awesome too, and hasn't really been there my whole entire life, but he's there to support me in anything that I
Good,
need.
good. Now, did you find the church in Haiti, or did you guys find it here in Florida?
That's a great question. And my mom, I think she worked with one of the members in healthcare in Fort Myers, and she kind of introduced my mom to the church. And that's what kind of led me, my brother, and my sister, and my mom, of course, to go to Fort Myers and kind of open up this new opportunity for us to investigate. That's what they used to call it back in the day, investigate in
Yeah.
the church. So that's where it all started from, just from a friend from the church.
Wow. Just probably a friendly invitation. It can
Yeah,
be that easy sometimes. I mean,
it
not
really
every
can.
time, but sometimes, yeah, it can. That's really cool. Well, tell us, so you were baptized, and then what are some of the circumstances or the reasons that you decided to go on a mission?
Yeah, so I was baptized at 9 years old, which I still consider myself. I was always in primary and nursery, so I consider myself a full member, just baptized at
Yes,
9.
I do too.
So yeah, I was able to serve a mission, and I was called to the Massachusetts Boston mission, which is one of the best missions, in my opinion, in the world. Obviously, we all say that because we have a lot of pride in our missions,
Yeah, we love
and
them.
oh, for sure. And I was called to the best one. So if anybody out there says they weren't called to the Boston, Massachusetts mission, it wasn't the best mission, obviously.
They're second. The highest they can be is second, right?
That's right.
Very cool. And how different was Boston? Like when you got there, I mean, because Haiti is pretty tropical, Florida's pretty tropical. What did it surprise you how different Boston was when you got there?
Oh, for sure. Right when I got off the plane and got to the open, it was just a different smell. You got off in the airport, you get all your luggage and everything, and there's that first smell that you get. It's like
Yeah,
this place smells very interesting, and it was really a culture shock for me. And
yeah,
this is something that's super new to me. I've never been on a mission before, and I just didn't really know how to act per se. They teach you all that stuff in the MTC, how to like act, how to approach people.
right,
It's
right,
very different from the MTC and then going into real life.
for
So
sure.
it was a big culture shock for me.
Yeah, they do the best they can at the MTC. They try their best to just prepare you. Here's what it's going to be like. But like you said, when you get out there, I mean, it's real world. You're face to face with people that are just like, would you like to hear my message? And if they say yes, you're like, oh, you do, and it can catch you off guard until you get used to it. Once you find your rhythm, once you find like, but yeah, being brand new can be so intimidating. That's why it's so
No, for
important
sure.
to get a good trainer, um, get a good first companion, and that can show you the ropes really well.
For sure.
So, um, all right. So everybody, I feel like, has that one missionary story that's like kind of a lighthearted or maybe a funnier story. We'd love for you to, here today, share maybe one of those stories with us.
No, yeah, for sure. I This one was a hard one for me to choose, but I think it's very funny at the end of the day for me and for my companion at the time. So I remember being in the Boston area, and we were teaching this young man who, at the time, I think he was in high school, if I remember correctly, and he was. You can tell he was ready to go and ready to, move on forward in life and the next steps of the church. And so we invited this young man to be baptized, and he accepted.
Awesome.
And so, as we were going through the preparations, the day finally came when he was going to be baptized, and we had asked him prior on who he would like for to be baptized, and he didn't know. And then the day of, he kind of knew we wanted to baptize him, and so I was one of the young men that he chose to baptize him.
Wow, cool.
And so it was really it was my first time, and I didn't know,
Oh my
what
gosh,
to
what an honor
expect.
then.
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect and what to do, and so as I say, fake it till you make it. So that's
Yep.
kind of what I did. And so as we were prepping for this wonderful time that he was about to go through, uh, this was during the COVID times, and there were strict rules and strict policies during the COVID time. And so he had asked us if it was okay if his significant other could come to the baptism. And at the time, it wasn't allowed for someone else to be there. It was just supposed to be just him
Because of COVID.
because of COVID.
Okay.
And for some odd reason, he really wanted his significant other to be there. And so me and my companion were just trying to think of the ways we could get him and his significant other to come to the meeting. And so what we did was we just told the bishop that it was his sister because it was very, very important for him that she was there.
Well, it's technically not a lie because we are all brothers and sisters in
That is
Christ.
true.
So
That is very
that's the
true.
loophole. We just said that part under our breath. But
That is very true.
yeah.
So as we invited his significant other to come to this baptism, because like I said, it was very, very important for her to be there, and we
Sure.
respected that, and we wanted to respect what he wanted because it was his baptism.
Yeah.
And so we got there, and it was just a wonderful, wonderful experience. That was about it. And, I guess the funny part is it wasn't his girlfriend. The bishop. We ended up telling the bishop at the end of the day, like, hey, this
Yeah.
actually isn't, his sister, it's his girlfriend. And then we all had a good chuckle about it.
Oh,
It's like,
good,
oh,
good.
at the end of it, the bishop was like, you could have just told me, I would have said yes regardless. And I was like, oh, great. That's awesome. So,
Oh my gosh, that's so great. Yeah. I just especially with someone you're teaching and you get this relationship with them when they ask for something that's like within reason, you want to move the world. Like, oh my gosh, we'll do whatever it takes to accommodate what you're asking for. Obviously, if it's within reason. Most things they ask for are within reason. So you're like, oh yeah, you want your girlfriend there? Yeah, we'll get her there. I mean, even if we have to say under our breath, who's she? Oh yeah, it's a sister. So, but I'm glad it worked out. It sounds like the bishop was like, it
mhm.
happens. So
Yeah,
that's great. That's cool. That's very cool.
for
And
sure.
how did you feel after baptizing someone for the first time?
It definitely felt weird. It was something I've never experienced in my life.
Yeah,
But I mean, I enjoyed it. It was a great time with this young man, and I hope he's doing well.
very cool. When I was at the MTC, um, I was in Provo, and right across the street is the Orem or the Provo Temple. Um, and every Saturday, my district went to the temple. And the first Saturday, the district leader is like, "Oh, why don't we do baptisms?" I'm like, "Oh, cool." So that was actually the first time I'd ever performed the baptisms because I did it for my companion. He did me, and then we did the same thing for confirmations. It was the first time I ever confirmed someone. So I'm right there with you. It's very intimidating because I mean, all eyes are on you. You've never done this before. Am I going to say this the right way? Am I going to pronounce their name right? Am I holding him the correct way? So there's a lot of things that go into it. Once you do it a few times, it becomes so routine
Right.
that you don't really even think about it. But like You really remember your first time baptizing someone.
No, it was a wonderful experience. I wouldn't change it for anything else.
That's awesome. And the other time that you'll always remember baptizing someone is if the water is ice cold.
That is very true.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
very true.
I always joke that, oh, you'll always remember today because you get in that water and it's so cold. Because I was in Colorado on my mission, and there's a few times the heater did not work, and freezing. So they survived, I survived, but it makes for a good story, right?
Oh no, for sure.
Very cool. So I'm sure you had a lot of people to teach in Boston and surrounding areas where you went. Why don't you go ahead and take a chance and tell us maybe one of your favorite, if not your favorite, conversion stories.
Oh, this was another one that was very difficult to choose because I had so much and I just didn't
That's
know
good.
which one to pick.
Hey, that's good.
But there's one specifically that I remember that I was in the Boston area again because my mission served Massachusetts, the whole state of Rhode Island, and
Oh
pretty
wow.
much the whole state of Connecticut. And so I was in the Boston area, and we were teaching this older man that missionaries had previously taught him for years and years, and they just couldn't really get through him. And
Mm-hmm.
so we had a member there to support us, and you could tell that member was very, very engaged on helping this young man and being able to get him where he needed to be. And he knew him on a real personal level, and so that I
Oh
worked
good.
along with us, and we weren't really expecting anything, but as we say in the mission, expect miracles. That's what we were hoping for, was a miracle that we can get this young man to the steps that he needed to be able to move on to the next step. And he was at the time, I believe he was in Texas, and we were in Massachusetts. So we're at least taking an hour out of our day, and he's taking an hour out of his day, and we're sitting there reading the scriptures with him, and going through, the first vision, and the law of chastity, word of wisdom, and things of that nature. And he had told us that he felt prompted to be baptized, and that's what we wanted for him at the end of the day, to move forward with this step.
Yeah.
But there was a big problem. He was in Texas and we were in Massachusetts at the time. And then he told us that there was going to be a week or so that he was going to come over to the Boston area where he would want to be baptized, and that's what we ended up doing. We taught him the last couple pieces that we needed, and
Yeah.
we got him to come from Texas to come to the Boston area, and he was baptized, I believe, the night he came in from the flight. So
Wow. That's amazing.
yeah, and we had his wife, his kid, a whole 9 yards there supporting him.
That's amazing. That's so great. That's so great. Because you hear, excuse me, you don't hear it so much anymore because there's temples everywhere. But when you hear some of the older talks by some of the older who are now deceased prophets and apostles, they'll talk about how these families sacrificed everything to be able to go to the temple, because they can only go once in a lifetime. So they have to, it's a big thing for them to go far away and to get there. But it was so important. So it was cool. It sounds like almost in that same vein that he recognized the Spirit has told me that this is true, and these are the guys that help me get there. So that's who I want to be with when I make this decision. So yeah,
Mm,
what a great thing.
yeah, and like I said, missionaries were talking to him forever, and I don't know if he wasn't feeling those missionaries or those missionaries weren't teaching him the right way, but I think once me and my companion stepped into the picture, I think we really changed um, everything. I think everything just happened at the right time for us to be able to have him move forward with the next step.
Yeah, and as you say that, something I've spoken with a couple other people on here is how there's a time in your mission. There's two big thoughts go in your head. One, you get there, you're like, what am I doing here? I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know why I'm here. Maybe I'm in the wrong spot. And then everyone always has that. I call it a missionary aha moment where it's like, I had to be here today to talk to this person, or to say this one thing. And someone else could have said it, but I feel like that this is one of the reasons the Lord called me here, because He wanted me to say it and have that connection. And it sounds like you had that connection. You and your companion both had that connection with that brother. And maybe, to you maybe that was one of your missionary aha moments of why, oh man, is this why I was called to this mission?
Right.
So
Well,
that's
for
really
sure.
cool. What are some things? Is there anything that like surprised you about being a missionary?
Oh, there was a lot of things that really surprised me. The amount of hours they had you study was absolutely insane. I'm not saying that it was a bad thing. It was actually a really good thing. It's something
Yeah,
that helped me during my mission. So it definitely opened my eyes a lot to some of the scriptures that I was like, whoa, I didn't know that was in there. Or, well, this really happened. And so in my personal study, I've definitely had the time to be able to learn a lot, to be able to take in all that I can and ask a lot of questions on things that I didn't understand. And so that was my main focus, was just making sure I was asking questions like, hey, what does this verse say? What does this verse say? How do I interpret this? I was just making sure that I didn't interpret the wrong wording or how it was said in the scriptures.
yeah, yeah. I've said this several times. The two things. A mission is like universe. It's like spiritual university. We go to school, or we get for 4 years or 2 years, whatever, to be able to qualify for a different job. But mission is spiritual university, because to your point, there's a lot of hours that go into studying. What people see when you knock on their door and they open the door, they just see you and they think maybe you just got up that day and decided to do that. What they
Right,
don't see is the hundreds of hours that you took praying, studying, fasting, pondering, that will help you. So when that door does open, you'll know what to say. It's not
right,
just like, oh, this is what I feel like saying today. But yeah, to your point, you're just you're trying to study so you can say the right thing at the right time.
right,
The other thing I say is a mission will allow you to be the best version of yourself if you let it. And what I mean by that is, unless you're called as a general authority, it's not very likely that many of us will 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, dedicate all of our time to the church, because we have other responsibilities. You get
right,
married, you have kids, you have a job. I mean, you can dedicate as much as you can, but that other stuff you always have that, except for mission. For that 2 years or 18 months, you have all your time dedicated, to the Lord and to the work. And it's a really cool, it's a really special thing. And it's a privilege to be able to do that, I think.
No, for sure, I agree. It's definitely a privilege, as you were saying, to be even out there. That I was able to serve others, which I enjoy doing every day. I think one of the things that my mission president, told me is like, Elder Francois, I think, the one reason why you wake up is because I think you like helping other people. And I really took that to heart. I was like, you know what, that makes sense. That sounds like something I would do. Wake up
Yeah.
and making sure I'm serving people every single day of my life.
Yeah. No, yeah, I think that's one of there's some people think there's one secret to life. There's probably 5, 6, 7, but to me, that's one of them. If you have it in your heart to want to serve others, you're going to have a pretty fulfilling life, um, as opposed to only serving yourself. Yeah, being able to have that desire to want to go out and serve other people. Um, it's one of the secrets to life. So let me ask you this: did you ever meet anyone in Boston that has that really thick, like that everyone has, like on the movies and TV, the Boston accent? Did you ever meet anyone with that like thick of an accent while you're on your mission?
I probably met at least 100 of them. I
So it's
specifically
not exaggerated.
no, it's not exaggerated at all. I specifically remember um, coming from my apartment, going to the train station, and then there's these two older men, and all you could hear was Boston here, Boston there. It was just, I was like, this is real. It's not fake.
Go Sox. Yeah, yeah,
Man,
yeah.
it sucks. Yeah, I believe, and someone else in my ward at the time, it was like every place has this different dialect. Once you get
Oh
into
yeah.
more of the city of Boston, you hear more Boston or park my car, so you'll just hear it naturally.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I'm sure to them, like when you got up there and you speak like this, they're like, "Oh man, what's this southern guy's accent?" And that's what's always so funny too is like we have accents, to other people.
Yeah, for sure. And I've had at least a handful of people call me out, and I was like, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Florida. Florida?
Let
What? So, yeah, that was
me ask you
funny.
this too. I went to school for a year before my mission because at that time we could go till we were 19. And once I went to school, that was the first time I ever saw snow. So was that the first time you'd ever been in snow full time like that, or have you been in it before, or how was that?
Yes, that was my first time seeing snow. And I'll tell you what, I will never forget it. It is very fun the first time you see it, but
Yeah,
having to shovel it
yeah,
is a different ball game. I wish they would have less strict rules for missionaries, like like have us plow, things. But obviously, as missionaries, there's a safety thing,
yeah.
so we're not able to do all that. But
Right.
shovels still exist. Shovels still exist.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, I'm with you. The snow when it first comes down, it's beautiful. And then after it's been down for a few hours, especially when it's been driven over, it starts turning black and muddy and ugly, and you're just like, "Oh my gosh, is it ever going to get warm again?" And so, yeah,
Oh,
I'm with you. I'm with you because
there.
oh,
Go
go ahead.
ahead.
Oh, when I was
No.
on my mission in Colorado, it snowed every day. So I'm with you. I was in my proselyting out, knocking on doors, freezing. So
There was times where it was just like, man, like it might be snowing right now, but that next door, you never know. There might be someone needing a message. And so
yeah,
that was what my whole mindset, during my mission is like, you never know. That next door might be the person that might invite you in just because it's cold outside. They might invite you in and say, hey, like, what are you guys doing here? It's super cold outside. Shouldn't you be at home, like having some hot chocolate or some coffee or something like that? And so that's what I kept in my mind. My companions were must have been like, "Can we go inside now?" I was like, "No, like we gotta keep on doing the work.
keep going.
You just
Yeah,
never know."
yeah. That's true. That's true. And it's always, if you have that mentality, I think you'll be a lot more successful and happier on your mission with the attitude being one more, just one more. We'll do one more. Or, there could be someone at the end of this block as opposed to, no one's home. No one's going to open the door. Everyone's mad. No, you got to have the positive attitude to make it worthwhile while you're out
Right.
there. So, yeah, I'm right there with you, man. Um, one other thing I wanted to ask you is if someone was, on the fence, like, I think I want to go on a mission, but I'm not 100% sure. What's some advice you would give them in order to kind of be that last push to go?
Oh, this is a great question. And for me personally, I just want to kind of share on like kind of what made me want to go on a mission.
Yeah,
And so I can just start with I went to EFY when I was about 18, my first and last time going to EFY. And thanks to some wonderful people that I know that got me out there to be able to have that experience to be able to go out there and enjoy EFY like I did. I was studying my scriptures because they had this time where you're able to study your scriptures, and I was already like on the fence already. I was like, I don't know if I want to go on a mission. I just want to be a firefighter. That's my dream job, and that's what I want to do for my living, for my career. And so I was just reading in the scriptures one day, and I just happened to stumble upon the scripture that really touched my heart. And I asked the the instructor at the time. I was like, "Hey, like, what does this mean for me?" And she just briefly explained to me, that those are the answers that you need to go on a mission.
wow,
And so I was like, well, I guess I have to drop everything that I have now and go serve this mission. I remember specifically when she told me that, I specifically remember texting my mom and telling her, "Hey, like I want to go on a mission." And I remember just waiting hours and hours for my mom to respond, and she ended up responding. She's like, "Are you crazy? Like, no, that's not gonna happen." And one thing led to another, I'm not gonna say I didn't convince her, but I ended up convincing her, letting me go in and serving a mission. and it's been the best thing ever. So I would say read your scriptures, pray about it, and definitely go out with the missionaries and try to do the best that you can and serve with them if you have the time. It is the best experience that you'll ever have.
Yeah. No, thank you for sharing that. That's beautiful. That's awesome. Um, yeah, that's the point of those youth conferences, firesides, EFY, FSY now, is we're just trying to, they're just trying to help these youth feel the Spirit. And why do they want you to feel the Spirit? Because you went there with a question: should I go on a mission? And as you felt the Spirit, you're like, oh man, here's your answer. That's why it's so. I mean, we always say in the church, we want you to feel the Spirit. We want you to feel the Spirit. And I think sometimes we lose focus on, well, why do I need to feel the Spirit? Because you're seeking answers, and when you feel the Spirit, that's when you're getting answers, from heavenly, godly sources. So that's a cool thing. Thank you for sharing that.
No problem.
So, all right. Well, I sure do thank you for your time today. Those are some great insights to a little bit of the Boston, the number one, according to you, the number one mission in the world.
Number one.
Right? Number one. Okay. But Junson, I really appreciate you coming on. And I just want to say I would like to thank everybody for listening to Only a Missionary podcast. If you would like to appear on the show, you can send me an email at clark@oampod.com, clark@oampod.com. Or if you have a story that you'd like to share, but you don't have time or you're too shy to come on the show, email me the story and I can share it for you on a future episode. And I must apologize because I am still sick. So I'm so sorry that I sound so horrible and that I have to keep hitting the cough button.
Definitely send your prayers out to Clark.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
No problem.
So thank you, Junson, and thank you, everyone. And everyone I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Well, thank you.